The Stakeholder Analysis technique. It identifies the interests, expectations, and influence of the stakeholders and relates them to the purpose of the project.
It also helps identify stakeholder relationships that can be leveraged to build coalitions and potential partnerships to enhance the project's chance of success.
The process of stakeholder analysis generally follows the steps described below.
Step 1.
Identification of stakeholders.
Step 2.
Prioritize the stakeholders.
Step 3.
Interpretation and analysis.
Step 4.
Conduction of measures.
Step 1.
Identification of stakeholders. The first step is to identify all potential project stakeholders and relevant information, such as their
roles,
departments,
interests,
knowledge levels,
expectations,
and influence levels. This is done by answering the following.
Who is involved in the project?
Who is interested in this project or who is affected by it?
Which processes can be influenced?
The first step in your stakeholder analysis is to brainstorm who your stakeholders are.
As part of this, think of all the people who are affected by your work, who have influence or power over it, or have an interest.
The output of this step is a stakeholder map, which can be viewed in different possible formats.
This is an example of the simple stakeholder map.
This is another example of the stakeholder map, which is structured stakeholder map with structured stakeholder groups.
Step 2.
Prioritize the stakeholders. Identify the potential impact or support each stakeholder could generate, and classify them so as to define an approach strategy.
In large stakeholder communities, it is important to prioritize the key stakeholders to ensure the efficient use of effort to communicate and manage their expectations.
This step prioritizes all stakeholders and their relationship to the project.
Internal and external stakeholder.
Intensity and impact of the relationship. Let's apply this to the simple stakeholder map in a simple way.
A stakeholder map with relationships evaluations displays positive or negative relationships and determining the attitudes to the project. Now,
which stakeholders need special attention? Then, there are multiple classification models available, including, but not limited to,
power grids,
Salience Model. The power grids.
Power grids group the stakeholders based on their level of authority,
power,
and their level of concern,
interest,
regarding the project outcomes.
Someone's position on the grid shows you the actions you have to take with them.
Low power. Less interested people.
Least important area.
Monitor these people, but do not bore them with excessive communication. Low power. Interested people.
Show consideration area.
Keep these people adequately informed, and talk to them to ensure that no major issues are arising. These people can often be very helpful with the detail of your project. High power. Less interested people.
Meet their needs area.
Put enough work in with these people to keep them satisfied, but not so much that they become bored with your message. High power. Interested people.
Key player area.
These are the people you must fully engage and make the greatest efforts to satisfy.
Salience Model.
This model classifies stakeholders based on their
power, which refers to the ability to impose their will.
Urgency, which refers to the need for immediate attention.
And legitimacy, which refers to stakeholders whom their involvement is appropriate.
While legitimacy is an important variable, two other factors must be considered when mapping out stakeholder class relationships.
One factor consists of power defined as the ability to influence the actions of other stakeholders and to bring out the desired outcomes.
This is done through the use of coercive physical, material, financial and normative symbolic resources at one's disposal.
The other factor is that of urgency or attention-getting capacity.
This is the ability to impress the critical and pressing character of one's claims or interests, goals that are time-sensitive and will be costly if delayed.
These three other directed attributes, legitimacy, power, or urgency, are highly variable, they are socially constructed, and they can be possessed with or without consciousness.
Project managers have to address
demanding stakeholders and dangerous stakeholders,
and try to win
dominant stakeholders, dependent stakeholders, and definite stakeholders. Step 3, Interpretation and Analysis.
Assess how key stakeholders are likely to react or respond in various situations, in order to plan how to influence them to enhance their support and mitigate potential negative impacts.
In other words, it compares the expectations and interests of the different stakeholders.
Expectations on the project.
Characterization.
Objectives and interests of stakeholder.
Influence, power and attitude to the project, positive or negative. Step 4, Conduction of measures.
Findings from the analysis and possibilities of cooperation, performed in Step 3, the following are done.
Estimation of risks, threats and opportunities.
Development of a stakeholder management strategy.